Well, folks, here again for the weekly forecast. Of course, during this past week, we had two precipitation events that moved through the region. The first one occurred during the midweek period that brought light precipitation to parts of western and northern Nebraska and more scattered precipitation across eastern Nebraska. Further to our north, we've seen more in the way of snowfall. We had snowfall reports coming out of the Dakotas, northern Iowa, Minnesota, and the western Great Lakes. And then, of course, the second system that came through during the late afternoon and evening hours of Thursday and spread precipitation northward during the day on Friday, and then, of course, exited the state as we got into the early morning hours of this morning. That once again brought some light snowfall to portions of the upper Midwest, including Minnesota and the western Great Lakes. Now, for Nebraska, we are not expecting any snowfall, at least in the immediate term, but there are signs out in the middle of late next week that there is a possibility that we could see some snowfall scattered in with the precipitation across the northern panhandle of Nebraska. And depending on how much cold air is in terrain, we could see that spread into the Sandhills region. So let's take a look at the upper air models and see what we have in store for this week. First thing I'll draw your attention to is the trough that brought the precipitation to our region has split its energy. So we have one piece of energy in the northern stream moving toward the upper Great Lakes region, where we'll see scattered rainfall and snowfall accumulations in the Great Lakes region. And the southern extent, where we're seeing heavy precipitation falling across southern Texas, central Texas, and points to the east. Now, as the system moves to the east, we'll start to weaken somewhat as it moves up against this ridge in the southeast, but overall the precipitation for our region of the country has pretty much ended, and we will not see any more return of moisture for at least the next couple days. So a warming trend is in store. As we get into Sunday, which is tomorrow, we will basically see a zonal flow, and we will not see much in the way of precipitation, but a slight bump up of temperatures to what we expected to receive today. And then as we get into Monday, we start to see a trough moving into the western United States, and that's going to start building a ridge in advance of this trough, bringing a return to a southwest flow aloft and much warmer temperatures into our region. Not unheard of that we will see 70s widespread across southwest Nebraska, with upper 60s to 70s across southern Nebraska. Now, as we go into Tuesday, this system starts to get its act together and dropping some pretty significant precipitation in the inner basin region, but in advance of that, very warm air is going to be drawn northward, and we should start to see our humidity levels increase somewhat, particularly Tuesday afternoon. Would not be surprised that we will see some low 80s across southwest Nebraska, but 70s to mid 70s look to be in store for the southern half of the state, with low 70s to upper 60s across extreme northeast and north central Nebraska. As we get into Wednesday, now the action starts to occur. As this trough starts to approach our region, the first piece of energy shoots up into the plains, bringing precipitation, scattered as it may be, across the western part of the state, and that will spread eastward as the day progresses as we get into Thursday. As we get into Thursday, the system starts to move across the region. We do see the heaviest precipitation across the eastern part of the state, but on the backside there may be enough cold air to generate a mix of rain and snow, particularly during the very tail end of the storm system. Now, as we get into Friday, that system quickly exits and weakens as we go to the Great Lakes, and we're left in a cool pattern across the central plains, and that means substantially below normal temperatures. Now, as we look at the temperature forecast for this week, we are looking for very warm conditions this weekend, with the warmest temperatures probably in the Monday to Tuesday time frame before a cold front starts to move its way into our region, bringing sharply cooler temperatures, particularly on Thursday, with highs primarily in the upper 30s in the northern panhandle and low 60s in the southeast, and then we cool down statewide well below normal temperatures, looking at temperatures between 41 and 50 across the state. If we look at the 8 to 14 day forecast from next Thursday to the following Tuesday, that warm air continues to be pushed toward the east as we see that cool air in association with that upper air trough to our west. In terms of precipitation, with that trough to our west, we continue to see additional moisture streams into our region. Now, we have the latest 30-day and 90-day forecast. The 30-day forecast for the month of November indicates above normal temperatures to the north, normal to the south. In terms of precipitation, looks like above normal precipitation for the southern plains and the southern Rocky Mountains. And in terms of the 3-month forecast, once again, above normal temperatures to our north. Nebraska's kind of caught in the between, with the best chance for above normal temperatures across the northern half of the state. And in terms of precipitation, above normal precipitation for the vast majority of the first half of the winter.